May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord. Help us all to hear this good news message on the 5th Sunday of the Pentecost season. Amen. You know, little words can sometimes have a very powerful meaning. And we're going to be talking in this sermon a lot about little words, like that word in our sermon title, if. It's a little word, but it has potential to have a lot of powerful to its meaning, depending on what follows the if. Now, in our gospel lesson for today, we have a father and his son who is troubled and possessed by demons. And he comes to Jesus and says, "If you can help me." And then we will talk about the rest of that story here in a few minutes. If you can help me. And our scripture lessons are all about help today. And we'll get to those in a second too, but as I read the scripture lessons for this Sunday, a whole bunch of memories came flooding back to me about those little words like if, and, but. You know, my dear father asked me to mow the lawn one day. And we didn't have that big a lawn, except we had a vacant lot next to us that he purchased to protect us. So it was not easy to mow that lawn with the crummy old push mower that we had. So when Dad said, "Would you please mow the lawn, Dick?" I was maybe 10 years old at the time. I said, "I'd love to, Dad. But I got this ache, you know? I'm hurt." And he said, "You gotta mow the lawn." And I said, "If I could just feel a little better, Dad, I'd be glad to mow that lawn. I'd be on that mower. But I think it's Scott's turn anyway," my older brother. And I threw him under the bus. And my father said to me again, "Dick, mow the lawn now." And then he repeated those words that I will share with you this morning. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Any of you ever had an experience like that? Those little words are excuses for not doing something. It's one of the reasons I love God so much and believing in God. He doesn't use ands, ifs, or buts. He just lays it out for you. The good news is there. You do the choosing. And unfortunately, sometimes we come up with the ifs, ands, or buts. Years later, after my dad had gone, my mom asked me to dump the trash. You know, it doesn't sound like much. But back in the dark ages, we didn't have white kitchen bags. We didn't have black trash bags. And, you know, you had to go to every room, literally, and dump the trash cans. Well, that took a half hour. Mom said, "Dick, take out the trash." I said, "Mom, I'd love to. I'd be all over that trash, but I got a game tonight." "You don't want me tired for the game, do you, Mom? You know, going up and down those stairs and dumping that trash? If you want, I'll do it tomorrow." And I think it's Scott's turn anyway. She said, "Dick, get the trash. And no ifs, ands, or buts about it." And I did. You know what was even better? Or worse, depending on your perspective? Church was the same. Sunday mornings, oh my gosh. How many of you have ever come up with a really good excuse not to go to church? It wouldn't have flown with my mom, I'll tell you that. She made us lay out our clothes the night before. So we couldn't say, "I don't have a thing to wear," and you know. But one Sunday morning she came in and she said, All right, Dick, get up. Time for Sunday school and church. Like she always did. Like I knew she would. I said, Mom, if you just give me 15 more minutes of sleep, whew, I'll be right there. But you know, Mom, I was out late with Lorna last night. She made me stay out late. But if you give me that 15 minutes, I'll be in church, I promise. And of course, she said, no ifs, ands, or buts. Get your out of bed and get to church. Now, when you look at our scripture lessons, and I'm going to need your help, they're all talking about help, 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 help. Anybody here this morning need help with anything in their life? Get those arms up there. If you don't, I want to live with you for a week or two. And I know you're being honest. Maybe you don't need a lot of help right now in your life, and that's a blessing. As long as you're thanking God for those blessings. But in Exodus, our Old Testament lesson puts us to the first test of help, because in there it says, and we're talking to the Israelites, you know, they're trying to find the promised land, and they're being told, look, if you want to make it to the promised land, and we all want to make it to the promised land, you've got to help your neighbor. You've got to help him find that donkey that he lost, that wandering donkey that he's lost. And you know what's even worse? In Exodus it says, we don't care if the guy who lost his donkey hates you and is your enemy. You've got to help him find that donkey, even though he doesn't like you and you don't like them. That's tough. That's tough, but it's one of the rules we all live by as Christians. Love your neighbor as much as yourself, even if that neighbor hates you. Go help find the donkey. And then he concludes with, wait, now you're going to have to help me when I give you the lead in, like, you know, there are no, you all in unison will say ifs, ands, or buts about it, okay? This is your big moment. It's on the website. So don't disappoint me. What was Moses talking to the Israelites about? Love your neighbor. Go help him find the donkey. Go give him food. Go give him the shirt off your back. Do whatever is necessary to lift the spirits of your neighbor. Because then the neighbor will say, wow, what's it with this person? I hate this person and they're helping me. What does Scripture say? It's like pouring hot oil on their head. And in Exodus, there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's very good. Not bad. Let's try the psalm. The psalm is pretty clear. Where do you get your help from? You get your help from the Lord. You get it now and forevermore. When I was asked to do the lawn and I was 10, I thought we went to church so that we could get to heaven. That was it. All right, you go to church for 40, 50, 60, 70 years, and you get to heaven. It's perfect. I guess it's worth going to church that many years for. What I was missing, because I was too immature and stupid, was church isn't about getting to heaven. It's about God helping you today. Now, this morning, you all came in with hopes, expectations, whatever. Needs, wants, hurts, pains, sufferings. He will help you this morning. He will lift you up this morning, because our help comes from the Lord. He doesn't want any harm to come to you. And how does it finish? It says, now and forevermore. It doesn't say, only if you act a certain way. Only, but, you know, my brother, he, you know, no. This psalm is a prayer. And it's a prayer saying, I got to know where my help comes from. And there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're too good. The epistle lesson is about my favorite apostle, Paul, if I were to play favorites. He's just a good guy. You know, he's the reluctant apostle. Got knocked on his before he found God. Blinded. Couldn't see God. Then up. He's not blinded. He finds God. And he says, you know, those Jewish folks, and he was Jewish, those Jewish folks seized me and tried to kill me. Can you believe that? And he said, I didn't realize till today that God was with me then, and He's with me now. He's with you then, and He's with you now. You know, the Jewish people loved Him when He was a muckety-muck in the Jewish religion, and He was up there, and then when He started talking to the Gentiles. Who were the Gentiles, by the way? They were the lowest. They were scum of the earth. You didn't talk to Gentiles. Paul's giving them the good news, proclaiming good news to the scum of the earth. We got to kill this guy. Makes sense, doesn't it? But Paul realized that God was protecting him and He was with him. He will protect you too when you proclaim it to the scum of the earth, whoever they might be. He'll protect you. And Paul, in his writings, he doesn't say anything about, he says, proclaim God's good news. And no
ifs, ands, or buts about it.
But my favorite story is the gospel. You gotta love Jesus, don't you? You gotta love this dad. How many of you fathers have sons? Any of them possessed? There are days, right? My friends, this father, you got to give him credit. He heard Jesus was in town. So what does he do? He brings his son who's been possessed since birth. That's what Jesus says to him. He says, how long has he had this? Satan and the devil that's in this child throws the child down in front of Jesus, you know, foaming at the mouth the whole bit. And Jesus says, how long? And the father says, since birth. And he said, if you could just take pity on him, Lord, if you can help. If, to Jesus, if you can help. Woo. You don't say if to Jesus. What's his answer, by the way? He says, everything's possible if you believe. See how powerful that little word is? If you believe everything's possible, the child is cured right in front of the father. And the father says, whoa, the lights come on. He said, wow. Well then, if you can do this, you can cure and help my unbelief. Anybody had a day or two where they had a little unbelief in their life? You know, things aren't going right. Your team's losing. You got to mow the lawn. You got to take out the trash. My gosh, it affects some of us to the core. We start to, I'm not sure I'm quite the believer I was yesterday. This father gets it and says, help my unbelief. Jesus doesn't say anything about, and well, you better act a certain way. If you know, I'm telling you, you waited too long. He says, if you believe, you get everything. If you believe, He can do everything. And there are no
ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Amen. Ushers, will you come forward?